so whoever's going, you're gonna keep track of who's here. So it's myself, Paul, you, Tom, Dan's here, Carrie is not, Todd is not, Peter's here, Glenn's here. That's it, Dan. Okay, so we're in good shape there. Minutes, does anybody have the time to read through them?
I did read the minutes from August 26th, and I believe they're accurate.
Let's see who was there to be able to, the vote members. There's Paul.
I make a motion to approve them.
I second the motion.
I abstain. So can you write down my abs?
Okay.
My abstaining?
Yeah.
We'll make this as painless as possible.
That's all in favor, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Discussion? No. All right. So we don't have a report from Robin. Robin's not here. Michelle's obviously not here. So we're not being televised either. Kind of want to just kind of speed this up to tax incentive policy.
If I could just
Go ahead.
speak for a little bit about the EDC communications. I printed out the planning and zoning for last month, and there was just a couple things I thought were kind of noteworthy. So there was a presentation by the person who's going to looking to do the change the zoning on Seymour, and he just made a couple comments. Looks like he's looking for. Dan, did you come to?
Yes, I was there at the meeting.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to go with residential is really what he's leaning towards, according to the minutes anyhow. And it's funny, he makes a couple comments here that were unusual, or I didn't expect. He says there no longer seems to be use for huge 30 to 40,000 square foot warehouses. Office space in the $50,000 to $75,000 range is becoming more popular. So that totally surprised me. So that was a comment. There's no wetlands there, so according to the minutes anyhow, he's leaning towards residential is really what he wanted.
Yeah, he was talking about like multifamily homes or.
Who is this?
Ziax from Heskel came and did the presentation on behalf of Indus Realty.
Oh, it's your Indus Realty?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it currently zoned at?
Residential R30, and they're looking for Commerce Park transition, which would allow for
Good.
multifamily.
Okay.
Yeah, he said multifamily, rental housing, flex office space. He said between 50 and 100K. He said that square footage, he said that's like the modern building that's popular right now. I was surprised. I guess he was saying that there was a bunch of like the large warehouses that are like 300, 400,000 square feet. He said there's a bunch sitting empty in the area. And he did quell some of the fears too as well about, he said in order to if you wanted to put a big warehouse there, you'd have to not only reroute that little circular roundabout there, but you'd also have to bring over gas and
There's no utilities.
yeah, no
back there.
utilities there. So he said it would be more expensive. He said especially because, and I didn't know this, that right before you come into East Granby there's a space that's already there that you could put in, I think he said 250,000 foot warehouse with, 110 truck docking.
I think there's even 2 pads there.
Yeah, so he said that. So
Yeah.
so he said so someone probably wouldn't want to develop that and develop there, which sort of put the ease
Yeah,
a little,
sure.
Yeah. Because again, they talked too about and on here we talked about the Z parking, our aesthetics for the town. That's another big entry point into our town there, into that neighborhood there. You don't want.
That's the second one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so if he sort of said it, but that is, that always is the sort of, not Russian roulette, but sort of the gamble you have to take, because he said, yeah, if you do open it for the transition zone, so he's like, I can't say there isn't going to be a 400,000 square foot warehouse, and that sort of makes, but.
Yep.
The people on the board seemed, and they were concerned about it. They were on the meeting went pretty well,
Yeah.
But.
The next one I wanted to talk about just briefly is the planning and zoning 2011-24, and that's the Z parking one there. And there is a map that's published if you wanted to look and see what that looks like.
Where's that on the Pete? Is that on the
Is that on the town side?
Yep, if you, the best place to go for that, so on the, under boards, there's planning and zoning.
Yep.
And if you punch planning and zoning, there's agenda, minutes, and applications. And the applications are listed, so all the this is application 2411, which means it's the 11th one in 2024.
Okay.
So you can easily see, you know, what's the most current one and so forth. There's usually a one-page application, something or other. Sometimes there's
So that's a map of the town with a ledger?
Nope, this particular one is just the, that application.
Oh,
So you
okay.
could
This
get
is
that.
that 5-acre property?
Oh, that's great, though. That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah, so it just shows where, you know, in front, they were gonna, proposing to put the storage, self-storage, and then the truck parking in back, but I think there was some berms there of some sort. Glenn, I think the thing that I don't know if you meant to mention or what you said was, with this is
Yes.
probably what you're looking at. This is also on the site. However, this is a nice big one. I went by and I asked Michelle to print it for me.
Okay.
Because I can't print this on my
Okay, so
printer.
That legend shows the ongoing projects, or?
No, this is the town
Okay.
zoning map.
Okay, but if you had that, you could kind of jot down your own.
So I usually keep this with my
Okay.
EDC stuff, because when it comes
All right.
up and says this property on this, I don't know where that, I don't remember what that is. So I pull
Okay.
this out, that's my magic decoder in to
Great.
see what's,
Thank you.
and Michelle
Appreciate-
can get
appreciate
that for you.
that.
Yep,
So they're proposing basically having the self-storage unit right on Route 20?
right, which blocks the trucks, you know, it kind of blocks it. Those aren't terrible looking, I mean, you see them around different places.
Well, it depends. I mean, you know,
Yep,
I've
I
seen
am.
the really nice ones
Yeah,
with
yeah.
nice facades on them, and I've also
Yeah,
seen,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think that's going to be the big make or break for them.
Yeah,
I mean, I drove by the one the other day that they, the one they finished on, what road is that?
International maybe?
Yeah, the one right off
Yeah.
that, and that, I mean, it looked nice,
Yeah.
well lit and,
Yeah.
brand new.
It's got a fence, so there's a little
Yeah, it's a
prison
little-
camp look to it a little bit.
Sometimes it feels a little like,
Other
but,
than that.
yeah, I don't know if, having that right on the street, like welcome to, and the welcome to East Granby sign right next to
Barbed
it.
wire.
Yeah, it's sort of like, but,
There's barbed wire across the street with the airport, why not?
exactly, right?
And the runways over.
Right.
So they made that proposal at the planning and zoning for the self-storage and truck
Yep,
parking?
so it's, they receipt, so this was a receipt of an application for a text amendment change, oh, I'm sorry, that's a different one. Received an application for a text amendment.
This
It is a
Same
self-storage.
side as Cumberland Farms.
I don't know what the text amendment was. Probably they don't allow self-storage in that zone. Probably what it is, I don't know, that's
And then we'll do
correct.
the hearing, that's great.
Yep, and to Dan's point, what's tricky is if you make a text change to a zone, that's all the property in that zone. So you gotta be careful what you're doing there, because you might say, well, a piece of, oh,
Oh, this is for the car,
the car.
the assessments?
No,
No.
No,
Anything
no,
with
it's the
it?
EDC meeting, economic development.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's supposed to be at 6 anyway, so we'll just kind of wait.
I wonder what room that's in. Are you sure it's in this building?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
There's a little conference room just down the hallway would be my guess. I
Yeah.
don't know where else it would be.
we'll kind of look around.
Sure.
Not that big.
No, that's right, you don't get lost. Drop
So
breadcrumbs.
the text amendment you're talking about is to remove the noise regulation section?
That was the next one, so that was 12, that's 2412.
That's the open one?
Yeah, it's 2411 that I don't know what that text amendment was.
Well, they were talking about that we don't have, I was there at the beginning of the meeting for that, the noise ordinance. They said that we don't have town ordinance, but we have regulations. And then I said noise is controlled by ordinance, but since we don't have one, they don't think that the regulations aren't therefore enforceable. So they said there's no mechanism available to the public, but they think there is one. So if there is a noise thing, so they were wondering if they should set, they wanted to send to the Board of Selectmen to start proposing some sort of ordinance
Yeah.
related to the noise. I guess in order to, prevent sort of,
Yeah.
having too many trucks or, however, what it could be.
Yeah, there is text, but it's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be under planning and zoning.
Yeah, because she was saying something about the difference. I didn't know the difference between regulations and ordinance. I think I've always used them interchangeably, but Robin was saying
Yep.
that those are different things, so.
Yep. So those are the three things I wanted to bring up just from the planning and zoning. And as I say, I always, before this meeting, I always just poke at it and just see what happened last time, because it's,
Good idea.
to Tom's point, it's certainly pertinent to what's going on. And we have had developers just show up here and start talking about something, and it's it's his name, geez, I can't say his name, 130 acres there. Silverman did that one time. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, hello. Yep, okay, so that's all right.
But East Granby really doesn't have an architectural design committee or anything like that. We don't have any kind of regulations in East Granby on anything along those lines.
I think the planning and zoning regulations are, that's our,
That's it.
that's what we got.
Okay.
And what they had done over the years, and Robin's pushed back at this a little bit, they always have and they talk about it at the Seymour too, what's the right words here? There's always a,
I know what the text amendment is for, that you're talking about, and that is to our tenancy, so that's to maximize the tenancy occupation limits. On that property, or the opportunity.
yeah, I can't see the words here.
So this was proposed, this self-storage was proposed at the the Planning and Zoning Committee?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are there more residents at that meeting than there are here?
Not unless there's something that's against what people are looking for. Usually it's a local group of people
Right.
that come to the meeting
For
and try to kill
specific.
something. Yep.
Like a bordering neighborhood or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So when Robin came here, one of the things that she tried to do, so East Granby's got a reputation for not being friendly to development. And one of the reasons is because, I can't see the words here, there's, when planning and zoning has a right to have their special requirements, anyhow, the way most towns, their planning and zoning is clear. I mean, there's no ambiguity, you can do this, you can't do this. So when a developer comes in, as long as they're compliant with the planning and zoning regulations, they can build. They don't need permission to do anything. They just, so what we often see are text changes because they want a blue door and only red doors are allowed in that zone. So often developers are looking to make some little text change, you know, and that's what you see. And that becomes the battleground sort of, you know, between the developers and the ones who don't want development.
Sounds like it makes it a lot clearer if there's a series of guidelines to go by, you know what I mean?
The first part of what we had to do was change the zones, which we were successful at doing, right? And that was actually defining a village center zone and defining a transition zone. Before, it was not, it didn't allow for scale, right? So now, with Robin being here, now it comes down to, so we're seeing all these text amendments, and to Paul's point is now what do you do, right? Does the current policy work, and do we want to see them in the current capacity that we want? Like the one that came in here was Ken, right? And it was about how many drive-throughs you can have in the transition zone, right? So because he wanted more, right, and what was allowed, it had to go on through a layer of approval. And that's what, you know, you're seeing there. This is this one that you're talking about is really has to do with occupancy, right?
Yeah.
So maximizing the occupancy based off of what that area would allow for, right? So it'd be changing the text amendment to do that. So the text amendments are what they are. They're kind of getting us to that point and laying out the blueprint for that particular transition zone or that zone in which it's located in for the next person who wants to come in, right? You know, it's hard to know everything, especially in the fact that so much has changed in these past 5 years, and kind of goes back to the tax incentive plan point I made to Robin is this, what are we forecasting, right? Mm-hmm. We know what has happened, but what do we really see happening down the line? Mm-hmm. And what types of improvement, levels of improvement? Are these 250 to 20 million, 50K to 20 million improvements? Are they 30 million, 40 million, 60 million? Like, what are we really realistically looking at and forecasting? And what are we seeing currently to make an understanding of where to go, because the incentive plan and what we're talking about really kind of go hand in hand, right? What level of tax amendments do we see? What are the towns around us doing? And what do we need to do now before someone comes in and asks for something like this to happen, right? We're like really in a different position, but a good position, in that we're really, since the village center planning took place, we're really leaning on what we need to do to make changes to make that initiative successful. Yep.
Right?
We were criticized from the consultant that came in that, so from a developer's point of view, they look at planning and zoning, and they put, I'll say, spend $100,000 on a plan, come in to only get shot down with the plan. So they go back, maybe make modifications. By the time they can actually start development, they maybe have spent $250,000.
Yeah.
So the threshold to build something in this town is very high. Whereas if your zoning was, I'll say, developed by right, so the zoning is very clear on what you can do, you read it, say, I can do that, yep. You really don't really even need approval from planning and zoning, because you're compliant with the
You
rules.
meet those guidelines, you're good.
If it fits.
So that's what Robin's kind of been doing,
Yeah.
is cleaning up all that
It's a
stuff.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a
It
lot.
is. It's going to take a while.
And even when you have that, you still have to be open to flexible, you have to be,
So the words I was looking for is special permit. So,
Yeah.
so here's specifically, so Indus is aware any development would require a special permit due to its proximity to residential homes.
Yeah.
So even within the guidelines of planning and zoning, there's usually a little caveat that makes you come into this room and talk about what you're going to do. It gives the board an opportunity to say more trees, higher berms, whatever
I
it might
don't
be.
think even in another town you would have gotten around that without a special permit. though.
Probably.
Probably not. Not that.
Yeah.
Well, especially because there's no buffer on, they said, on the residential side.
Right.
And on the apartment side, that thick tree line,
Oh, yeah.
that's not owned by Indus or Griffin. I guess they said Indus and Griffin are the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they said, so they already have that nice buffer there, and of course there's none right where all the houses are there. It comes right up to their property line, and we don't want to happen like what happened in Windsor, where they put that warehouse like right at the end of that street there, So yeah, having to go through a special permit, I think, is good in order to do that.
That was a big deal with School Street. If you remember, all the residents came in with School Street, and the developers there talked about there was a berm, there was trees, even the type of trees, like a pine tree, doesn't lose its foliage in the wintertime, so it's a noise barrier year-round versus a...
So they're not looking at a warehouse all year round, yeah, or
Right.
part of the year, yeah.
Yeah, I think those are appropriate to need to have a special permit for.
Yeah.
Personally.
sure.
Yeah. Or else you're going to.
Well,
get
our,
warehouses.
all our commercial zone or transitional zone has housing around it. That's the thing. It's sort of intertwined. So it really.
It's the word transition.
And it,
Well, I know,
Right.
but it affects people's homes and what have you. So I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not like we have a big area of farmland that we can just say, hey, this is going to be the commercial zone. There's nothing else around it. It's just
Yeah.
because it's already been developed to a certain extent with residential.
Yep. But it gives yield to the necessity of mixed use.
Yeah.
So, my whole reasoning for meeting with Robin this week is going to be understanding some of those figures to even know whether any of what we've been talking about is worth going down the road on. Right. We could read all these other towns' policies, and it will make no sense to us to do if we can't get even promotion enough around what we currently have, and not knowing what we currently are seeing for improvements dollar-wise and what we're really forecasting to see dollar-wise, and hopefully Gorman and York's data, which we may not be able to see all of, will provide some of that. I know she was going to get some of the data, or asked for some of that data. It will hopefully be available to me this week. And then leaning on Robin to make those amendments, to be honest with you, instead of hiring Adam, right?
Oh, sure. I have to say, as I say, I read all those, And some of them, like Bloomfield, for example, I thought that was very well organized. That was almost a statement of what the EDC does. It was really a tremendous document. Cromwell was very zone-specific, so for each of the different zones,
Yeah.
they had a different plan.
Yes.
Which was a lot of work, but I could see that. So for example, the village center, we, as
That's
an
a
example.
specific guideline, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
village center, we're going to subsidize 100%, transition zone 50%. You know, just to try to force development in that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I actually like the way that they do it.
Yeah, that was
To
pretty
be
good.
honest with
Yeah.
you, and I think they're very successful at driving the right type of development in point when someone comes in and they're prospecting the town. It's easy, it's clear and easy to know where you can put that, you know.
East Hampton had a scoring, so depending upon the sort of development they were looking at and where, you actually got a score that determined what your abatement was going to be. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's actually
Again,
good,
a
yeah.
lot of work, but kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
And then I compared to Windsor. I said, geez, you know, Windsor's got, 100 construction things going on at every minute. And their numbers weren't very different than ours, but the resolution, it was a much,
Tiers.
The
Yeah.
tiers were much, there was more of them, more
That's
tiers.
what I'm trying to gather is whether a tier system makes sense.
Right.
Like that, or whether a system like Cromwell makes sense, right? Because like I said, we can spin our wheels talking, but without really knowing what we're looking at for improvements currently forecasted, that's going to be important to bring back to the next meeting, and leaning on Robin to work on the amendment to those policies based off of our recommendations.
If I was to criticize ours, I would say that it's very broad brush and not targeted.
There was a reason for that, though, and that's because we really didn't have a village center plan
Sure.
in place
Yeah.
at the time. We were doing our best to provide some level of attraction, an incentive to attracting those improvements, and it was leading into a very tough period, right, as we know, based off of when that was put together. So.
Are those towns being pretty aggressive with their tax?
The numbers aren't much different than ours.
Really, okay.
Especially Windsor, I really looked at that because
Okay.
of, the numbers are about, in fact, I believe we're more aggressive.
Also, Windsor has a TIF.
Oh, okay, yeah. So for, let's see, commercial abatement, please. So for $500,000, we're 50% abatement for 5 years. Windsor is 30% for 3 years. So
Okay.
we're actually more aggressive than Windsor, at least that tier.
Okay.
Yep. So.
So it was interesting.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
it
good.
was a lot there. I mean, I think she provided 18 different towns. And, some of the towns are 2-pagers, and there was a 20-pager in there.
What is that?
This is actually, that's the cheat sheet that Adam, you can have that,
Yeah.
that Adam made for Eden. Sounds like a biblical quote, huh?
This may be a sensitive question, but how many situations have there been where we've missed out on developers doing work in East Granby because of,
We don't see it. We used to have as part of our team, or as part of the economic development director's team, there was a economic development developer. There was a part-time position, there was 2 people, there was Adam that looked at financial things like this, and there was Sandra that actually reached out to developers to try to proactively make things happen.
Yeah.
Those 2 positions were eliminated.
And there was Kevin before.
so the point I'm trying to make is we've never actually missed an opportunity for a developer to do work in the town based on specific criteria that we're holding them to that
I believe
that pissed them off.
If you asked me to guess, I'd say we miss out on 10 a year.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Like
that's what I'm-
Silverman. Silverman's doing that big development right off Route 20.
Right, and that's why I said, at the risk of
like in our
asking a
face.
sensitive question, has this cost us? And it sounds like it has.
I'm certain it is.
Um,
But we don't know that as a commission. We don't see that.
Right.
We used to.
So just seeing like people so we have a different problem than we used to have. Before it was, I'm not hearing back from the person I need to speak to in order to, figure out what I can or can't do, and then moving on. Now, it's a little different. Now it's what can I do, and where can I do it, and what's the cost of those properties, right? And does that make sense? So it's a little bit of a different level of conversation today than it was 5 years ago, right?
You know what would be an interesting person to talk to answer your question, Glenn, would be Ken Vincunis,
Yes,
if I'm
Ken
pronouncing his
Vincunis.
name right.
Yep.
He's got the property next to what used to be the Stub Hub, both directions, across International and across Route 20.
Yep. Yeah, I think he came in here and talked
He
one
did.
week, right? A couple months
He did.
back, 5 months ago.
And I believe he is turning over every rock, digging every hole, doing everything possible to develop that. And it would be interesting to, maybe
Ask him
outside
that,
of an
yeah.
official meeting, say, what's not happening for you?
Well,
know?
I don't think it's a good look because that stuff gets around too, you know what I mean? Like from those developers, it's a network of
Oh, yeah.
people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he has a lot invested right now, probably
Yeah.
exactly where he will be, and probably won't.
Both sides of the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he won't look further until
And-
anything else happens.
And
I thought
he-
that place was already zoned, that he was like, I thought he was prepared to move forward on that. There was-
Well, yeah, but the remember is what he had to do in order to get to that point. That's what we're kind of getting at. That's
Took a
what you're
year.
getting at,
Took
right?
a year.
I'm asking from the standpoint of the developer, is it a foregone conclusion that this town's difficult to deal with?
I think what the problem
No.
is sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that particular case, what had to happen before he ended, how many times he had to go back in? Yep, I would say probably that.
But Silverman is huge. And
Silverman.
they basically
Yeah.
got pissed off, basically.
Yeah.
And,
Yep, and now they're.
and now they're developing other places right around us in our
In
face, basically.
Windsor, right?
And
Right.
they own
Right in
160
Windsor
acres behind.
Or Windsor Locks.
The old Hamilton Standard Building.
Yeah.
And that's kind of was the basis of my question. I thought that I had heard a rumor that they were trying to develop that project here in East Granby,
Oh.
and they got discouraged, and they moved away.
I got to tell you what pisses me off about that specific opportunity is what he's building in Windsor Locks, or Hamilton Road there. He could build here. The zoning here allows for exactly that building, but he chose to do it there instead of here. So I don't feel real bad about that one. Because it's 375,000, I think, over there.
And what's it going to be? Just a warehouse?
The article I read, I just know from newspaper, was
It looks big.
it's a warehouse that he does not have a tenant for.
Oh.
And in back here, he could build 2 400s, right? I think I'm right with
And
that.
there are some residential apartments and.
Yeah, but even if he wanted to put in the one warehouse that he's putting over on Hamilton, he could have done that back here if he wanted to, but he chose not to.
Maybe there's a level of heartburn that he doesn't
I'm
want.
certain there is.
Went through a couple years of it.
I'm certain there is.
Yeah.
Because you can't argue, somehow that from a transportation point of view, that's more convenient than this. I mean, my God, by the crow flies, it's probably a half a mile.
It's insignificant.
It would not be. What I can't speak to is of utilities and that sort of thing. I don't know what's over there for gas and, water and versus.
That's where I was going
Yeah,
next,
that
is
might
the
be-
fact utilities is going to play a factor too.
I think Windsor Locks has a better infrastructure
Sure.
of sewers and water.
And you know darn well that road's got, and it's, Hamilton was there, there's a water pipe that big going up that street,
Potentially, yeah.
Yep. So I mean, that's the other area that we would have to work on. The recommendation went through.
We did.
Yeah, because that's important in certain areas, is to what can we do to help, what can we get to help offset some of the needs. If you were to listen to a developer, whether it's honestly commercial or residential, one of the issues is if you get a 15-acre lot and it has, water and sewer compared to not, it's going to factor into what I can put there. And I would rather maximize my dollar
With
with
water
more
and sewers.
density and water and
Right.
sewer than putting septics in.
Right, and I know Carrie has campaigned on it during a couple of meetings for trying to get some of better infrastructure to some of these projects going on, but that's a big task.
That's the grant that Robin just applied for.
Mhm.
We wrote a recommendation or a supporting document for Robin to go for that grant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be important. That's part of the next stage of progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to know what happens with that in the end. I'm so interested to see if that grant gets accepted, because that's going to tell us what we either need to write better next time, yeah, or we get it, what we did right, and kind of reflect and look for more of those opportunities. So that's, again, that's what you're going to find is whether we really have the infrastructure in place. Because we're not the property owners, we can't control what they're selling at. If they're selling for over cost, a developer that's going to come in is not going to overpay either, because for a long time, our other big problem was what people wanted for the cost of the properties outweighed the necessity to put that piece of, to develop on, So that's the other piece of it.
There is going to be some positive pressure happening, though,
Yeah.
and that's the Bramble Bush there and North Meadows. I mean, there's...
Bramble Bush is flying.
That's flying.
They're going quick, yeah.
That place is flying.
Is it
Yeah.
84 apartments going in there? I forget the number.
I don't know, man.
Do they already have tenants like lined up for those, or have they not started to sell the property before?
I don't think they're selling them yet, but when they came in, the developer came in to talk about it that last time, I had them in the hallway for a minute, and they had sold out Granby, the one in Granby, it's the same developer that did the Granby. They sold that out in 18 months.
Wow.
And there's, I don't know, you drive down that road and there's got to be 100, right? I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah, they got to be a little bit further down the line right now
Yeah.
before they get
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, they sold that out in 18 months, so that's why he wanted to go.
Yeah, because I mean, isn't that been the whole problem? Is that it's like businesses want people here,
Yeah.
but then the people want businesses to go
That
to.
was my
Well,
point.
that's-
There's
that
going to be
goes-
positive pressure coming from that to get some development that we're looking for.
Well, that's going to go right back to this village center planning zone, is we didn't have enough density
Mhm.
within,
Yep.
the village center in order to drive those businesses to look at us seriously, right?
Right,
So-
if you up that density.
Right, you have that
Then the
density.
numbers
And that's
look better.
happening.
We don't have any
That's
density
happening.
in
You
East
have the
Granby
other,
Center.
you have the other
That's the problem,
apartments,
yeah.
which I hope will come up at some point.
Yeah, there's the wetland issue back
Yeah,
there.
I know, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Once you get to that,
Yeah, yeah.
do we have it? Possibly. Will Bill's front property, that's commercial, go?
Bill
Fully?
Wilson's.
Yeah, which he held on to, my understanding. So,
He
I,
mowed it this week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, it would be great. I
He's
mean,
prettying it up.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's ready to get top dollar for it now.
Hmm.
And it's not binary either. I mean, it's not like, if they build 17 houses, something's going to happen. 17 houses get you a CVS, 100 houses get you, not what we necessarily want, a Walmart. I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's an analog scale there somehow.
How many
that's-
units are in Bramble Bush?
It's like 157.
That's a lot.
But there's a total of 419 new units going to be in the center of East Granby within the next year or two.
Yeah.
419.
Yep.
And what is Bramble Bush, School
Street.
School Street, and then is there anywhere else? Let's see.
116.
School Street stalled on a soil thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Environmental.
I thought there was Bramble Bush and then the other neighborhood with
Meadows.
that. Brook Meadows, okay.
North Meadows. Yeah, and the two of those together I have is 116.
116 units.
Yep. And School Street was 46.
Where are the other numbers coming from then? The 419, where were those numbers coming from?
That I said?
Yeah.
Is there something
I
on Nicholas?
was-
Oh, I thought there was 419.
It was a rectal pluck.
I just thought
These are
there was
real numbers.
I thought there was like over 400 units approved somewhere in.
Well, was
or
also
proposed.
Silverman.
Oh, that's what
Big
that's what
deal.
we're counting. Okay, that's.
I think there was three, right? There was the oh no, the fourth one's next to Planet Fitness on Russell. Remember those five buildings back there?
Okay.
Next
Oh,
to
across
Planet
from the
Fitness.
cemetery?
Behind the cemetery.
What is
okay.
that?
That's Russell Road?
What was going there?
Going to Mark's?
Multi-family, right?
Yeah, there was five apartment buildings in there.
Is that on Mark's Auto Parts Road, Russell?
No, it's next to Planet Fitness across from the cemetery, the old cemetery there.
Oh,
Yep.
East
okay,
Street
closer to Route 20.
Yeah.
Oh, East Street. No, which is it?
That's
is it
the East
Russell?
Street Shops has Planet Fitness in it.
Yeah, but
What's the
East
road
Street
that
then
goes
off.
towards the
Along
National
the
Guard right there?
cemetery.
What's the name of that road? That's not,
Oh, I know what you're talking about, I can't think of anything.
it's not Russell.
That brings you to the perimeter road around
Yeah.
Granby.
Yeah. On there, across from the cemetery, there was 5 buildings.
Nicholson.
Nicholson,
Thank
yeah.
you, yeah.
Is that, what's going on with that?
Pause.
This is positive.
Yeah.
So that's on the left side of the road heading towards the airport.
Right, yep, so there's that, there's Bramblebush, North Meadows, School Street, and Silverman, so there's 5 that are all in some stage of something.
But
Where's
they're
the
all
North
approved.
Meadows? Where's that? Is that?
Negative,
They're not approved?
no. The Silverman's definitely not, School Street is, Bramblebush obviously is. Nicholson was very close, very, very, very close. There was a, painted the lines the wrong color or something. It was
Some
very
level
close.
of heartburn being dished out.
Yeah. It was very close. It was very close.
Where's North Meadows?
That's between Bramblebush and Route 20. There's actually 3 parcels there, sort of.
Okay, I think I counted that all in my mind as
Yeah,
Bramblebush.
it's easy to do
That's
that.
in that area.
In
Okay.
fact, they recently, I think they changed something so that the road's connected, so it even looks like that now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They may even call it all Bramblebush, I don't know what they'll do with that.
Interesting.
And East Street has a lot of property for sale right now, too.
Yes.
And that's, I'm assuming is going to be
Yeah, who knows
residential.
about that, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
All right.
Articles?
I still have trouble, so the only one I have pending is the self-storage, and I can't seem to line up with those guys.
I have a suggestion for an article, Farmington Valley Plumbing.
Oh, sure.
Okay. It kind of spawns off of something Jen and Eric brought to my attention. So when we were doing the business booklets, the passbooks, they weren't approached. And
They're not retail.
They wanted to figure out how can they be put into it.
We'd have to change the rules of the passport,
Okay,
because it's retail and restaurant.
okay.
I mean, we could, I'm not saying that's why they're not on there, or in there.
Yeah, that's something she brought it to my attention because for them, I mean, though they don't have a retail front,
Yeah, right.
they really rely on the area,
Yep.
Maybe
we should do a different program. So let the passport be for retail and restaurants and do a have your work done local program, whatever that is.
Services program.
Services program, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Anyway,
once
she
you
did
bring
bring
them
it to
in,
my
it
attention.
probably opens the door to 50 others.
No, you're right.
And
But
so-
she did bring that up,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
one of the things I'm thinking might be for good faith from at least our perspective is to do a spotlight on them,
And that's Farmington Valley Plumbing.
Farmington Valley Plumbing.
We do a lot of work in the area.
They do. They help a lot of people in this area.
You
And they're
know,
reasonable.
I'll have to say, just because he's a neighbor of mine, Black Bear
Oh, really?
is actually a newer plumber than them. So if we do Farmington Valley, we'd have to do Black Bear too, because they're actually newer.
Yeah, I think what we're doing is we're giving back to, through an article, an established company who's been here for a while.
You know what they should do? There's the program on our website where any business in town can self-promote. What?
Is Farmington Valley Plumbing located in East Granby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Town of East Granby, Connecticut.
Yeah.
I thought
It's the
that
one
was-
with the bear with the wrench
down the road.
on Route 20.
Near the Enterprise rental car, well, not rental car, but rental truck.
It's on the left-hand side.
Couple
Yep,
couple
before
units
it.
down, yeah.
The house.
It's a house, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's, I just, for you two guys, I just went to the website,
No.
I think it's the next room down, I think.
and right on the front page here, see it says e-news sign up?
Okay.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Anyways, I do think it would be, she did express it, she was a little upset that they weren't approached.
But you could explain.
I can
more.
understand now that you explained it that way. I thought it'd be an opportunity to do an article on them. I mean, they've been here for a while. They're right in our community. I know that we have Black Bear, but we can leave that for another time. You know,
They've grown.
yep,
The company's grown.
yep. So,
So if you go to, on the very right-hand side of our website, it's called Support Local.
yep,
And for all these business categories, you can see what business categories are, for each business categories, what businesses are in East Granby. And here, become an East Granby Spotlight business. They just have to apply to do that.
Oh.
And they could become one by their own action.
okay.
And then, because it feels weird to just go,
But what does that do for them, Paul, though? What's the,
What's the give back?
right,
Town of East Granby Spotlight business on our town website, and we'd love to feature your business. Please fill out the following form and upload a photo. So on our website, they're featured.
Yep.
so that makes them available to people that are looking at our website, but that's not
Oh,
an
no.
in-your-face, yeah.
I'm just
yeah.
trying to be fair. I mean,
Right,
if
right,
we do
right.
this one,
There's an opportunity
well,
there.
how about Black Bear? How about, these others?
It'd
I
be
mean,
easier, it'd be better
think
to
you can
sort of
always-
approach them and introduce them to this program. Basically,
That's what I was
support
hoping.
local, and then
Just fill this out and you can have this.
I think we can always say, what about this and what about that for anything, personally. You know, I just think it would be a good opportunity. And somebody did approach me, knowing that I'm the chairman of the EDC, and I thought at least it would be a good faith from the EDC.
Are there opportunities for businesses like that to just show up at the farmer's market and have a tent?
Yeah, they did, actually.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
If you're a sponsor.
If you're a
So the fa-
sponsor.
So the
Of
farmers.
the market?
So there's 3 categories of people that went to the farmer's market. There's vendors,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 25 a week or 200 for 9 weeks or something to be a vendor there, and you have a table and you sell stuff.
Yep.
There's a nonprofit. So we went through all the nonprofits in East Granby, and I think they each had 2 weeks to, the veterans and the Old Newgate and,
Yep.
the different ones. And then the third is to be a sponsor.
Yeah.
So if you sponsor the,
Two.
you have 2 weeks that you have a table. That's right, your bank did that.
Yep.
And you get promoted on all the marketing material and so forth.
Yeah.
So there's 3 types of people that go to that.
Yeah, and the money goes right to the public library if you're a sponsor, to promote their literacy programs. So that's what I did, and we didn't use it as a way to say, hey, here's all our programs that went to federal. All we did is we put a raffle and sat there for the Yard Goats final game to give out.
You had nice little handouts
Two
too, though.
sets.
It
We
was-
did.
it was
We had
cool.
some.
It was cool stuff.
Yeah, like
It was
dog,
good.
like dog bowls that you could.
Yeah.
But we weren't there to say, here's a checking and savings and
Yeah.
loan.
No,
I
it
didn't
was-
want to look at it that
It
way.
was appropriate.
Just wanted to,
You guys weren't handing out money?
No, thought about it. No, but no, it was really
No, banks
just to kind of give, like say, here's
Yep.
an opportunity to go see the final Yard Goats game, and we're here,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's the way I looked at
it's
it.
a soft sell.
Yeah, soft sell. Yeah.
And that could be any kind of business, anything you
Yeah.
want to be.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think other institutions would have used it in a different way. I didn't want to look at it in that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, but the spotlight, we have to put something together for, coming up for the next Talk Turkey, and make that determination on what we want to do.
There's no other new businesses in town, are we missing any?
Well, did we ever did a spotlight on the employment place over here?
Not that I know.
I don't know if people even realize that it's there.
When
So
did-
they basically you'll find employment for you.
In Geo's Plaza?
Yeah, Geo's Plaza.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a job though either.
No, but it's great. They do like a lot of the, no, I mean, they basically will, you know, if you're in like the construction business and stuff like that, they help a lot with people
Yep.
on that. I just went to an event where they brought out like 5 of the people from that business. We were looking at cybersecurity in the insurance world.
Yep.
So, and they had 5 people out there. It was really impressive talking to them and what they do, but they do employment placement for a decent amount of people. Right out of there, it might be a really good opportunity
Mhm,
to do some further promotion.
How long have
Because-
they been there?
Oh, a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It used to be a driving school, and then that didn't pan out. So I want to say 2 years that they've been there. So I think that's a good opportunity to do a spotlight on. That was, you know, that was one thing I was thinking about. If either of you want to kind of pick that up.
I'll do the plumbing. I'll talk to them.
Okay. You want to pick up that other one? Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like a little hidden gem that you knew
Oh, yeah,
was there.
definitely, yeah,
So, and it's right in your face.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
So, okay. Do we have any new business to discuss that we haven't brought up?
Next Friday's the last week for Farmers Market. If you haven't been there, it's your last opportunity. Although you're gonna miss what I think was the best music last week. Was awesome.
What was it?
Vinny Pagano.
Oh, from Beeman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is awesome. If you like Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Yep. Did he have the whole band there or just
No, just him and Tom, just the 2 of them.
Wow.
They were awesome. They were awesome.
Yeah.
seen them at Brignall Vineyard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're very good.
Yeah.
They're very good.
That's the type of music I play. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, I don't know who we have next week.
All right. Is Small State Provision going to be there?
They were there last week.
All right.
They have the best bread and cookies. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's
Have you ever
terrible.
heard of Small State Provision?
Not before they
No.
came here. No.
What do they do? They bake? They're bakers?
They're mostly bread and mostly bread and then
Yeah.
baked goods, but
Scones, cookies, bread. They have the
amazing.
He's from Simsbury, right? Or-
no.
Avon is
Oh,
one of
Avon,
them.
okay. Yeah,
They have
okay.
2 locations. One of them's in Avon. That's the closest location. But I mean, talk about a small business putting their eye on East Granby,
Mhm.
and what an operation those 2 guys have.
Everybody talks about them. When they come, it's like, they're here. You know, it's
So-
The bread is
really-
good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Focaccia? Is that what you call
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's
bread?
what we got. Yeah.
You cut it in half, and then the fresh tomatoes that are one stall
Oh,
over,
yeah.
and basil on top of that,
all good.
and
Nice.
then melted
All good.
Swiss on top of that. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. It is. Oof. Oof.
Other than that, I mean, once that ends, what do we have really going on? Do we have a craft fair?
There's empty bowls, but we're not part of that. That's really the food pantry thing.
Mhm. Is that what that is that goes on, where they have all the vendors come in around the holiday time?
No, that's smaller. It's we've got the chef coming from Dragos,
Yeah.
Stefan.
Stefan?
Yeah, whatever, I don't know
Yeah.
his last name. He's going to do some cooking there, and it's in partnership with the pottery
Yeah.
barn shed, whatever that is over there. And they make bowls, and people get soup, and it's all for the food pantry, the friend-to-friend food pantry.
So fast forward to the other thing is the holiday vendor thing. How involved do we typically? I don't remember ever
I
getting
don't know what
involved in
that,
it.
remind me what that is?
So over here at the center here, around the holiday times, they bring in a lot of vendors, pretty much fill the room, that sell their crafts, kind of like we do.
In
Farmers
what
Market.
building?
I don't know of that.
Community center?
Community center.
Oh.
Yeah. And they have some pretty great
Did it years
vendors
ago,
come in there. Huh?
Did it years ago,
Yeah.
I guess, but I can't.
I never knew that
remember
either.
much.
Last year, I believe they had them, the year before.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe even treated? I'd have to find out. My question is, I didn't know who ran it.
I
And
never
how
knew
do
it
we even
existed.
get involved?
I don't know of it. I don't even know it existed.
Because it, A, had a great turnout, had some fantastic vendors. I mean, it filled the place. And I don't know how, as an EDC, we get involved with helping the promotion of that if they're going to be doing it again.
I don't know who did it. I
You have
don't
to
know
find
anything
out.
about
You,
it.
I mean, you know, if you can print flyers for all the students to bring home, I mean, things like that, I mean, just get
That's
that
what
word
I'm
out there.
getting
I've
at.
never heard of it.
That's what I'm
Never heard of
getting
it.
at.
It's amazing.
So I'm gonna,
Well, I've only
I'm
been here
gonna,
30 years. so-
Yeah,
I'm gonna poke the bear and find out who it is.
yeah,
And I'll bring it back on the next meeting.
that'd be great.
Because I'd like to know how we could, that's, I mean, just like the farmer's market, I think it's as equally as
How
important.
many weeks do they do that, Dave?
It's a one-day event on the weekend.
Oh,
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. But it's a lot of vendors that they
they
bring
pull
in.
it off, huh? They get
They
it,
really do.
whoever's organizing it gets it done.
Mhm. And I wonder if we can help get it done bigger and better.
Yeah, sure.
Not better, bigger, you know,
Yeah,
to make it more of a one-day, more to like a one-day or a whole
When
weekend.
you make it
event.
more successful, you're gonna bring
Yeah.
in more vendors.
Or do it a couple weekends in a row or
That's what I'm
something.
getting at, you know,
Yep.
is like, how do we get it to move and keep our people from our town in our town, you know? That's where I'll bring that back. I'm gonna dig into that a little bit.
I mean, something like that, like, you could even bring that to a place like Almost Famous Brewery. He's got a lot of floor space there, you know what I mean? Just, if that thing grew and morphed into something bigger, a guy like that would probably be happy to.
Yeah,
Right?
Sandy's
Oh,
always
sure.
looking for something to do
Yep.
in there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of floor space there.
Yep, he does. The place was built for that,
Yeah.
you know, when you stop and you think about it, so. All right. Does anybody have anything else? Because I know we're kind of getting to that time. So do I have a motion to?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Great. It was a good discussion.
Have these meetings gotten longer since I've